Hello guys, welcome to the next video tutorial on Android app development program. In this tutorial, you're going to learn about the uses of the switch case in the practical approach of Android app development. In this practical approach, we are going to use the switch case with many more buttons. How to use a switch case in an Android app development course. Generally, switch case consists of different cases. We should choose a case called as a choice, as we have discussed in the last tutorials. So switch case consists of many number of cases with the break statements, and it should consist of a choice variable. It should be compulsory, and a break statement should be compulsory, and a default statement it should be compulsory for the switch case statement. If the default statement is compulsory or not, it is not a mandatory thing. In this Java course now we are learning, so we should concentrate on these three things while we concentrate on a switch case statement. So now in the Android app development, how we are going to use a switch case statement. Generally, basically, we have many other activities. Generally, describing about an activity and giving it to a single button is not a submit button is not a valid thing. We have to create a multiple buttons for an Android app creation. So for the multiple button creations, we should use switch case. Switch case is very useful for multiple use buttons. So for multiple uses of buttons, like we have to click on one button to access to one page, and another button to access to another page, another button to access another page. We have to create a multiple buttons, so these buttons are used by switch case statement. Now let us see the practical approach of switch case on Android Studio software. I'm opening the Android Studio software right here. I have created an activity here. This is an activity called as my app. It has stored as a my app application. This is the activity, Android activity here. I have created a 4 button fields. I have created this button field here. This button field I have dragged and dropped 4 buttons. First button, second button, third button, and a fourth button. These are the 4 buttons I have dropped in this activity. The first button I have named the text field as first button and the ID as a button here. You should change the ID if you want, or if you don't want, you can keep it like this. For the second button, I have changed the text field as a second button, and ID is button 2. For the third button, third button, and the button is button 3, and the fourth button 4. This is the design I have made in this Android activity. When we click on the first button, it should redirect some message. Actually, I have given a toast message here. Toast message is to appear text here on the below of the Android application. So for this first button, I have to create a toast message here that first button has been created or submitted, or whatever you want. You should create a toast message, or you should give a link. We will talk about the links in the next video tutorials. Now I am giving a toast message here. Now for this first button, when I click on this button, it should appear as toast message like this, and second button it should appear a toast message with another what you have given. For this we have to use a switch case. How to use a switch case for the following these buttons? Now go to the main activity.java file here. If you want to activate in this Java folder, in this activity you can see the main activity class. So on this main activity class, I have given a variable called as, I have declared 4 variables called as button 1, button 2, button 3. This is called as a button 1. This is called as a button 1 and a button 2 and a button 3 and a button 4. These are the 4 button fields I have created, which is named as a button fields here. Button, 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 button here. As this creation I have created in an onCreate method. In this method I have created this onCreate method. Since we have to give an external onClick listener, we have to create in an onCreate method only. We should not create another method, so the variables will not match with the main activity. So the main activity consists of these all variables, so we should create these variables in the main activity itself. So on create method I have created 4 variables named as button1 and given its find view by id. For button1 I have given it as r dot button here, rid dot button, and button 2 I have given it as a button 2 id here, and I have given button 3 id as a button 3 id and button 4 id as a button 4 id here. So for implementing this, the button 1 set on click listener dot this, I have created a on click listener here. To implement this activity we have to create a extend class through activity compact, and it should implement this method we have called here. Here I have called a method called set on click listener dot this. It should implement the main activity which is extended to the app compact activity. Actually this main activity is the parent class and its subclass is app compact activity. It should implement this on click listener function, on click listener method. So if it implements the on click listener method, we should write an implements on click listener for implementing this set on click listener method. For implementing all the buttons for set on click method, we should implement this activity for set on click listener. In the brackets of the activity I have given this message, so it should implement this on click listener activity in this method. So I have declared all the 4 button variables and I have given a path to implement this on click listener. After that I have to create another public class here. I have to create another public method here. In this we have to write a switch case statement. This is the switch case statement we have given in an override class. So this is the override class. Overriding means giving a multiple inputs to the same variable or a button variable. So I have not given any overriding methods here. I just created an override method here, and I have given a public void on click view, which means this public void on click view v should take the id. This v will take the id of the get button here, on which we have given this button r.id selected button here. What the id has get id here, get id means it will take this r.id.button or r.id.button 2 or r.id.button 3 or r.id.button 4. It will take this four ids what we have selected here. If we do not select any of this button here, it will be empty. In this case we are not selecting any button here, so it should not repeat any default case. It should not contain any default case. Defaultly it could not select a button and it could not repeat it again and again the same time as a simple toast message. So it should not repeat it again and again in this Android applications. So we will not use the default case. If if we run any time, if you do not press any key, or if we do not press any key for a timer, it should always display the default case. So we will not keep any default case in the switch case here. If no, it's no problem for default case to be mentioned in this Android app development course. So I have given a case called as RID.button here. So I have given it as a ID name here. Since we have given a switch case to select a choice called as get ID here, I have given a get ID as the button IDs are r.id.button and r.id.button2 and r.id.button3. I have given cases called as r.id.button and r.id.button2 and r.id.button3 and r.id.button4 as the IDs. I have given a cases like case 1, case 2. Instead of case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, I have given a cases called as these IDs of the buttons. So if you have selected a button, it will redirect to this ID and it will execute the toast message I have given here, and it will break the statement after the statement is over. This is the background code we have to generate for all the 4 buttons here. I have given a second toast message that button 2 is working and button 1 is working for the first one, and but for the third one I have given it as a button 3 is working, and fourth one I have given it as a button 4 is working. Here the toast message is a long short message I have given. If you want, you can give a long method too, but long method takes more amount of memory and it takes runtime errors while you give a long statement instead of a short statement. If you want, you can give, no problem. So this is the background coding you have to done for this all methods. So this is the background coding. So now just go to the program and run the program and check that it is working or not. So now go to the run button and run the activity that it has given, or shift F10 plus shift F10. So open the emulator here. The Gradle will be running over there and we should choose an emulator. So the emulator has been opened. This is the activity design I have made: first button, second button, third button, fourth button. When you click on any button, that second button, button 2 is working, and third button, button 3 is working, fourth button, button 4 is working, and the first button, button 1 is working. If you want to give any URLs to this, we can give it as an web view. There is an option called as web view in this Android app development. By this opportunity, or by this option, you can give URLs to the buttons. So in these multiple buttons, you can give many types of URLs, and if the button is clicked, that URL should be opened. If it is connected to an internet or a connection, broadband connection, it will connect to this website or a given URL there. So this is the end of the tutorial. Bye for now.